hello. This is Carib Carter Clues. Welcome to Leslie at Large. Today, I got the show notes from Leslie a little while ago about she's going to talk about crossing the border, residency, all that kind of stuff, Costa Rica, Nicaragua. But I got to read you one line. She wrote to me. So come along for the adventure of crossing the Costa Rica border. I'm reading to you. Barefoot in the pouring rain in the dark. Leslie, what is that all about?
It was quite the experience. You know me, I love making memories, and I did that on Tuesday this week. So, we talked a little bit last time about traveling into Nicaragua and, coming in with your 90-day tourist visa. But guess what? Some people, I like to call us long-term stay, or maybe a kind of more like a permanent tourist kind of situation. You find that you like it here, you're able to stay longer. Then what do? Well, you have a few options. You can go to Managua and go to the immigration office and get a 30-day stamp. You can actually do that up to 3 different times. So that you could kind of do that once a month. You have to go every month, though. That's the catch. Probably not the best experience, long lines, waiting, trying to figure it out, all of that. Not that great. But you could do that. And you could stay then up to 6 months. But the other option, and trust me, much more exciting option, was to do a border run. I joke about, making a run for the border for me used to mean going to Taco Bell. Growing up, you'd hear make a run for the border. Yay, we're going to Taco Bell. But no, it brought a whole new meaning this time. I was able to catch a ride with a friend that was flying out of Liberia. And Brandon, one of the residents here, and a colleague, he needed to make a border run too. So they're like, just catch a ride with us. It'll be great. We'll do this thing. So we go, and I will tell you, it's like a 3-hour drive from Grand Pacifica to the border. It was beautiful, just so green, so many cool things. We stopped at this amazing, fruits and vegetable stand, and just, got some samplings there, and just had a fun little road trip to the border. Well, we make it to the border. It starts kind of, not really pouring rain at that point. It was just kind of drizzling a bit. And I'm like, are you kidding me? It was sunny and beautiful the whole drive. And then here comes the drizzling right as we're getting close to the border. You make your way to the border and you see the signs. The long line of trucks is your clue that you're getting close to the border crossing. And then you see kind of the, Nicaraguan side, the immigration office, border control, whatever they call it. And we get out. Still just kind of drizzling. We're like, okay, let's do this. Let's see how this is going to go. We weren't completely sure. Like, we knew the basics. I've come in before and I've exited once. But the catch was I had never left, checked into Nicaragua, and turned around and come right back. And, I usually was just leaving one way, coming back in. So again, last time I kind of said, do your research. Well, I didn't take my own advice. I kind of did. Like, I knew the basics. I should have done a little bit more research. Let me put it that way. So apparently we made it the Nicaragua side. You pay I think it's, somebody comes with this little ticket and asks for $1. We don't even really know what this one ticket is you get at the door, but apparently you need it and you pay $1 for that. So we do that. Then you go up to the line at the $1. I don't know what it's for. Okay. It's in Spanish. Who knows? But okay, I need this little card. But guess what? Nobody really asked me for it. But I had it if somebody asked me for it. Then you go up to the little booth. You do your passport, show them that. You tell them you're going into Costa Rica. Obviously, where else are you going to go? And then you pay, I think it was $6, like an exit, some kind of exit tax, departure tax.
Exit tax.
So so we do that. Always my tip is have the correct change, and if you're an American, they want it to be in US dollars, not Cordobas. So that's important. Keep some US, money on you. So we did that. Not a problem. There was, the line is not real long, but it's like we talked about with Central America. It's slow. It's slow. You're waiting there a while. You think, oh, the line is short. There's only 4 or 5 people. No, it's still slow. It's slow. Slow. Maybe they're writing the receipt out. Oops, they messed up. Tear it up. We got to start over. They've got to go talk to someone, get advice. I don't know. Sometimes they leave with your passport and go to way away to a closed door, and you're thinking, why are they taking my passport? What did I do? So you really don't know. But you just wait. You smile. You just wait. Make friends with people in the line. Find out their stories. Make fun of it. So then We leave and we look out and it is pouring. I mean, pouring rain, torrential rains. And I'm like, okay, again, I didn't do my prep work. I didn't even think about it. I didn't think about check the weather. Didn't have an umbrella, didn't have a raincoat, had my bag with me that guess what? Had my laptop in it, had, all that stuff. I'm like, oh, Leslie, what were you thinking? Had flip-flops on. So we go outside. We're standing there kind of looking around going, well, the Costa Rica side, like Brandon had never done it before. So he's like, oh, is it that building right there? And I'm like, no, it's not that building right there. I said, Brandon, you don't understand. All this kind of that you're seeing out in the distance is kind of no man's land. We have to walk a good distance to get to the Costa Rica side and to their, immigration office. He goes,
in the rain.
Yeah, I go, yeah, it's a good ways. So, and first you have to, like, when you are kind of exiting out that side, someone stops you on the Nicaragua side and they want to see your passport, make sure you've got your stamp out. So you have to stop again and do that. They're just kind of on the side of the road. So he's like, you know what? He's like, I'm going barefoot. I'm like, well, I'm going to try to do it with the flip-flops I had on, but they were so slippery. So I was like, nope, I got to go barefoot too. So we took our shoes off and here we go in the pouring rain. And it was hysterical. I mean, my hair was just like stuck to my head. I don't know what I was thinking. I had this shirt with these real pretty sleeves, but they were so heavy because they were soaked with water and everything was just stuck to me. And I mean, all you could do is laugh about it. We were cracking up. So we get to this one guy and they're looking at us like these poor, pitiful people. What are they thinking? Everybody else had their umbrellas and here we are with nothing,
And,
so we stop and
they're
we do
thinking
that.
They're thinking to themselves, I can't believe, and these gringos say we're backward. Look at them, barefoot, soaking wet.
I'm telling you, it was hysterical. But again, I mean, what are you going to do? We had to get across. So we get over to the Costa Rica side, finally into the building. And, again, we've got just water. And my mascara, I had black just everywhere. It's like, oh my gosh. I mean, I was looking down and saw the black on my hand. I was like, oh, I look a hot mess right now. So we go up to the Costa Rica side to the window or like the place, and we're handing them our passport. And they asked us to show proof of exit of Costa Rica. Oops. We were like, what? They wouldn't let us check into Costa Rica without showing proof of leaving. Well, guess what? They were asking for an airline ticket. We don't have an airline ticket. I'm like, we're doing a U-turn. We're going right back to, hi, Costa Rica. It's been nice, but we want to go back to Nicaragua.
That's bizarre.
Yes. And so they were kind of getting a little irritated with us, I think, because Brandon's like, well, no, we're leaving. Like our driver's waiting for us. And they didn't care we had a driver waiting for us. She said, no, we need proof that you're leaving Costa Rica. So we're like, well, what do we do? It's already getting dark outside. It's pouring rain. My phone was almost dead. Talk about not being prepared. My battery was not charged. And he didn't have signal or Wi-Fi. So my cellular was, I didn't want my phone to die because I needed to be able to communicate in case we had, problems or anything. So she's like, go find Wi-Fi, go do something, but you have to go buy a bus ticket or something. We're like, oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
We go out in the rain. We didn't see anything. We're trying to talk to people. Of course, we both have very limited Spanish. We find this one guy tells us about this building over on the other side. That's where they do the departure taxes. So we go over there, we make friends. They were kind enough to let us come in and they got on the computer for us and bought us bus tickets showing exit Costa Rica, went back in, checked into Costa Rica, then went around the building to exit. Well, no, we had to go back to that same building and pay for our departure tax. And I think that was, it wasn't that much. Maybe it may have been $6 or maybe, no, I think it was $10 to leave Costa Rica. So we paid $10 there to get our departure tax. Then you have to show that. Then you go to the Costa Rica side to check out. You show them your departure tax, tell them you're leaving, show them your bus ticket or your airline ticket. We bought our bus ticket. Hey, we're leaving Costa Rica. Got it stamped. Then guess what? We got to go back through that little area in the pouring rain to get back to the Nicaragua side. You find the same little guy on the side of the road. Show him your thing. He kind of
Weird.
looked at us like, okay, y'all are crazy. You just did the U-turn. You're soaking wet. He's laughing at us. Then we go back into the Nicaragua side. Well, first you have to stop at this other little building. We didn't realize that, but we found that out. We had to go inside, find out. They're pointing, going, no, no. So we went back outside. You have to show, either right now, either your COVID test or, whatever. You've got to show your proof of that or of that, the whatever they call that thing, passport thing. So you got to show something to be able to get back in. Then you go inside. They look at everything. You pay your $10. Again, remember that $10 tourist visa to get your 90-day tourist visa, get your stamp. And then we finally got back in the vehicle. And by this time, it had been exactly 2 hours from the time we started the process. So we had a 3-hour drive, 2 hours to start to do the process, the entire thing, start to finish. And it was dark at this time. It was 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night and still pouring rain. We were soaking wet. I got in that vehicle. I was so glad though to be back in the car, but I froze the whole way home because the AC was blowing on me. And I was like, can we please turn the AC off? Like, I was so cold because I was drenched. So I did kind of wake up a little sore throat the next day, but it made for quite a story, and it was good to experience it because now I know what to tell people, what to expect if they decide to do a border run. Yeah, that's what we did.
So I want to make sure I understand something. You're on the Costa Rica side and want to cross back into Nicaragua.
Right.
And they need proof you are leaving Costa. Weren't you tempted just to say, well, watch me. I'm going to walk out here and walk across the line.
Yeah, but the problem is you can't go back to the Nicaragua side until you have that stamp showing you did enter and leave Costa Rica.
My God.
I know.
My God, that's hard.
She was like, you need to read the guidelines. And we were like, okay. Oops. We didn't get online and really read their requirements, I should say.
This is a great lesson for people because the one thing we've got to say, living south of the border, it's a wonderful life, but there is a bureaucracy that is it. You just got to be, folks. You got to be prepared for. You just got to be. When my wife was getting her visa to come from Honduras, right? She calls me from the consulate, whatever it was in Honduras. She's Honduran, needs her visa to come to the U.S. And she said, Amor, I have a problem that they say that they have the wrong birth date for me, and they say I'm a twin. What should I do? I said, you tell them that's exactly the day I was born, and my sister's waiting back home. Where do I get my visa? I said, if you disagree with him, with that bureaucracy, is going to be another 6 months before you get out of there.
Yeah, it would probably have tied up the process for sure. Oh my goodness.
So
you know what?
I'm glad you told us this story. It's important. People need to know that. Yeah,
it is. People need to know. And another thing, when I'm talking to people that find out that I, have lived in other countries, and they're always curious. I think people are confused by the whole visa thing and then residency and citizenship and what does that mean? So I thought we'd kind of talk a little bit about that just to kind of people, especially for Nicaragua, like what options that you have. So here in Nicaragua, like I said, most people just come in on that tourist visa. The 90 days, it's for citizens of most countries. But again, I can speak for me being a U.S. citizen that it's 90 days for me and for most countries. But that's something that you should research if you're from another country. Make sure that for Nicaragua, it is 90 days for you because it could be something different. So I'm kind of speaking from, the North American standpoint here.
Yes.
When you do those border runs, if you decide to do that, Costa Rica is your pick because some people think, oh, can I just go to Honduras or El Salvador? But we have what's called the CA4 agreement, which is between Nicaragua, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras. So those countries do not count. So you have to go to Costa Rica to be able to leave. Because if you left and went to Honduras, you couldn't re-enter and get that 90 days because they're part of that CA4 agreement.
Wait a minute, they have what do you call it, a CA4?
It's called, and I haven't really researched it to know much about but it's some type of agreement they have, and it I guess pertains to different things, but this is one of those things that it pertains to. It's called CA4 agreement, and it's between Nicaragua, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras. And so
And
one of those things is that if you're leaving and going into one of those countries, like, so people that are in those countries, I guess, can move between those countries, but so it counts as the same. You wouldn't be able to, like I said, leave into one of those countries and come back in and start your 90-day over. It has to be Costa Rica.
wow.
So that's, you need to know that too.
That's fascinating. I would have had no idea. No
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. So that's one
yeah.
thing. The next thing, I guess, to kind of talk about is, if you decide, okay, Nicaragua is a place that maybe you would like to stay more long term, you can continue these patterns and be kind of more of a long-term permanent tourist type situation. But, you have to think about, like, what's your end goal? Like, if you want to be here and be considered more of a resident, there are some perks. Like, if you have residency, then you can actually, you could purchase a car and have the car in your name, have the insurance in your name, register it. Living here as a long-term, more like tourist, you're not able to do that. So that would be one perk to get residency. And then, of course, the big perk with residency, you can stay. Like, you don't have to worry about, leaving or doing these border runs or coming in and out. So right now in Nicaragua, just to kind of give you an overview, I mean, there's so many requirements and details. What I do, there's an attorney here that I really like to introduce people to if they're curious about residency, just because he knows, those things are always changing. The government's changing things, tweaking things. So I tell people, go to the source, the resource that's the expert in that. And we have one, here in Nicaragua. But yeah, for the basics, you've got 4 different types of residency in Nicaragua. All right. You've got what's called the retiree or the pensioners, the pensionado. And so that one's for people who have private or foreign retirement, kind of like our Social Security, and they receive at least $1,000 per month. So that's one option. Okay. Then you've got your financiers, and that's people that can prove a steady, verifiable foreign income over $1,250 US per month. So that's another.
Now, quick question, Leslie. What if that verified income is your Social Security check?
Yeah,
that's fine.
Right. That's fine. Okay. Yeah, as long as you can verify it and show it. So that's okay for that one type for the retirees program. For the financiers, it has to be $1,250 US per month for a period of 5 years. So you have to show that stability in it. So that's another option. Then you have what's called the investor residency, which most countries have. And that one, you have to invest at least a minimum of 30,000 US into Nicaragua or an employment producing business. So that one you would have to form like a business corporation and those kind of things. Now, keep in mind, for Nicaragua, you do not need to be a citizen or a resident to buy property in Nicaragua. Okay. Right. And then the other type is just for business people. So people that have or want to start a business in Nicaragua. So those are kind of your options for residency. Like I said, depending on what country you're from, there's different stipulations, different requirements, things you have to do. So I tell people, again, if you really are serious about looking into it and seeing how it works and what is the best fit for you, then we can make those introductions to the attorney here on the ground that can kind of navigate the waters for you and decide what would be the best option.
I mean, that's great. That's great. And I think with the residency, now with me, when I lived in Honduras for a year, I was just a permanent border crosser. Okay. Right. Every 90 days I'd leave and come back. But that did not allow me to get residency, which meant there were some perks, there were some benefits that I could not get. Right. Okay. Are there benefits for residency in Honduras like they had in Honduras? I mean, in Nicaragua, let me get my country straight here. Like they had the Tercera, I think it was called, in Honduras, where if you were 60 years old and a resident, that you got like 1/3 off on everything. Okay. Like movies, pretty much everything. Plus when you went to the bank, you go to the front of the line, whatever, because you're old. But do they have that? Are there benefits and perks with residency in Nicaragua?
Yeah, that piece I don't know. I know the perk of obvious, or not really a perk, but it's a benefit, is being able to buy a vehicle and register it, insure it in your name.
Yeah.
And not having to come in and out. But yeah, as far as like discounts and things, I'm not sure. I'll have to ask. I don't consider, I'm not quite to that
Well, no,
pensionato
you
age myself.
you're not gonna.
Although I have a birthday sneaking up in a few weeks, so I'm getting closer to that, but not
But you're
quite
still a
there.
long ways from it. But I would, yeah, in a future episode,
Yeah, I'll
let's
find
see,
out.
because I love what you're saying about the residency, and it's so easy. I mean, if you have Social Security, you probably qualify if it's over 1250 for either the first two
Right,
residencies, which is
right.
great. And then 30,000 is not a big investment. And when you say investment, what if you put the 30? I wonder if you just put the 30,000 in the bank, if that's considered investment. I wonder.
No, I don't think so in Nicaragua. I think in
No.
Nicaragua, like you have to have a business corporation. You have to have like it needs to produce. You need to have employees or produce
Okay.
like a
All right.
business here in Nicaragua.
All
Now,
right. Yeah.
other countries could be different, but I
Yeah.
think for Nicaragua, it does need to be a true like business type of situation.
Okay. Very,
Yeah,
very good.
but hopefully that's great info for people that are curious how it works. I know sometimes it gets confusing, and the whole citizenship thing, like for most people, like residency is usually the level you would stop at.
Oh,
With
yeah.
citizenship, you would need to be fluent in the language. You would need to, educate yourself and learn all their laws and all of everything and be able to, go and take the test and really, citizenship would give you, a passport from that country and some other rights. But what I find for most expats is the residency level is really all they're looking for.
Yeah. Pretty much the residency pretty much entitles you to everything you want right there.
Right. Except being able to vote and that type of thing. But again, like I'm one of those, I wouldn't see me in most of like countries. Like I still consider myself a guest in these countries. Like,
Yeah.
that's something I have not been born and raised here. I wouldn't know all the history and everything. So like for me, residency would be a level that I would only, kind of try to get in a different country if I was staying really long term.
And once you have residency, does it have to be renewed regularly, or do you think it's once you get it, you got it?
Yeah, and I don't know all the details because I heard they just recently changed it, but I know in Nicaragua they did change it. So I think you have to like every 6 months you kind of go in or check in or something because they want to see are you in the community, what's going on, that type of thing. Different countries are different. Sometimes you get it and that's it. Sometimes it's every 5 years you renew. So it really depends. Again, it's one of those things you just would want to research which country that you're looking for that and see what the current guidelines are.
Yeah. My wife just got her permanent residency in the U.S., right?
Right.
So now she wants her citizenship. But I warned her, here's the problem. I think this is interesting. We were at a restaurant up in West Virginia, Italian restaurant, right? I mentioned this last time we were on together, and it was run by Guatemalans. And one of them said, "Oh, yeah, I have my permanent residency." And I said, "Well, you're going for citizenship?" He said, "No way. I never want that." You know why? Because once you get U.S. citizenship, the IRS follows you the rest of your life, no matter where you go. The only country in the world that does that. And so I'm trying to tell my wife, just stay the resident. You get all the perks. You can't vote. Other than that, you get everything you want here. And if you decide to move back to Honduras, or we're looking at, thinking of Grand Pacifica in Nicaragua, the IRS is not going to have its hand in your pocket in a foreign country making money that has nothing to do with them. So that's very important. Now, I will point out, citizenship in Nicaragua does not do that. You can get a citizenship in Nicaragua, and you still do not. They're not going to tap any money you make in the United States or whatever, which is very important. Very important. Yeah.
Right.
So that's great. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Fun
that's
stuff.
wonderful. Now, so how far are you toward? Do you have residency, or you're
No. So when I was in Belize, I was actually working because I lived there for multiple years. I was actually working towards my residency, and Belize is a little bit different. And when we kind of jump over to Belize in the coming weeks or months, we'll focus more on that. But just to give you a brief thing. So I was in Belize, you have to be there a year full time, and you can only leave 14 days during that year. So
Wow.
I was, So, and for me, because I do love to travel and I love to go see my family and stuff. So I had committed and I was like, okay, I can do this. And it fell right up until the time kind of during COVID. And so I ended up taking one of the repatriation flights home because I'd not seen my family in quite a while. There were some things I needed to go take care of. And I, chose to take one of those repatriation flights thinking that the airport was going to open back up in a couple of weeks. And so I was still trying to time it where I wouldn't be out of the country for that, past that 14 days.
Right.
But then when I got back to the States, the Belize government announced that they were not going to reopen the international airport, and it ended up staying shut down for several more months. So I got stuck outside of the country. My dogs were stuck on the island. So that's a whole other week. That's a whole other fun story we could cover one time. But yeah, so I lost that momentum, and then I ended up coming here. So, and right now I'm definitely a tourist. I mean, I'm in and out on that 90 days currently.
Yeah. Right.
So we'll see long term where I end up, but eventually I do I see that at some point I will get residency in one of the countries that I decide to call home for long term.
I mean, it's just, I mean, looking around you, it's so beautiful where you are. I would do it there. But you mentioned something, we're almost out of time, but you mentioned something that I know occurs to a lot of people, your dogs. How difficult. You've taken those dogs, I know, into at least 2 countries, Belize and Nicaragua, maybe more for all I know. How difficult is that? I mean, did they quarantine them for 30 days or
no?
What?
No quarantine. That's why I again, do your research. But that was one of the perks when I first moved to Belize. At that time, my little Lizzie Lou, she was my Texas rescue. She went to Belize with me, and she fits in the little bag under the plane. She's easy, traveler. She loves to go. And so, I researched Belize. There they have an office. It's called BAHA, BAHA. It's an organization. I'm not sure what it stands for, but you reach out to them before you're traveling into the country. And there's a form that like an application you have to submit to get permission to bring the animal in. Then in the States, you have to have like current rabies, and you have to check that because there's a real kind of strict guidelines between the months. They couldn't get it and then fly the next day. They have to have had it for, I think, at least 30 days. So there's a thing you have to research that. And they only do accept the 1 year, not the 3-year rabies. So again, just do the homework online. Then you have to get a international health certificate. So you just go to your vet and they know how to complete the form. They get on and look at the country you're going to. So they find out all that. They complete the form. You have to have that within, I think for Belize, it was within 7 to 10 days, I think, of travel. You have all your documents. With the airline, you usually have to submit these things to the airline. And then when you land in Belize, you get your bags, you go through the immigration, the customs side, and then there's a little door and it says Baja, and you go over there and you show them all your papers. They kind of look at your dog, make sure they look healthy, and you pay a minimal fee. I think it was under $20. You pay them something to get your import whatever certificate. I don't know what they call it, but you get your paper and you leave and go on your way. Same when I left Belize, I had to get some documents and things. Of course, I added a dog in Belize, my Livy Love, my Belizean pot licker, who might add is an award-winning Belizean pot licker. She won the first annual truck show, best in show dog show they had on the island. So I'm very proud of her. So she's been trained, and she's actually a trained service animal. So she was able to fly and do the trip. She did amazingly. I was so proud and impressed with her. So she came on. They both came here. Nicaragua, it was kind of similar thing. I forget the name of their organization, but really, I didn't have to submit anything ahead of time. I just had to make sure they had, the rabies, the international health certificate. When you land in the Managua airport, you go through all the same thing, baggage claim, all that, customs. And then when you come out, same thing, you look for the little sign for this organization. Again, the name is escaping me at the moment, but I can get that for anyone that needs it. And you show them all the forms, pay the thing, and off you go. So now I've got those 2. And then, of course, in February, I was a foster fell to my newest addition, my Nika Mutt. So I've got my Texan, my Belizean pot licker, and my Nika Mutt. And my Nika Mutt, I had 2 girls. I was like, you know what? We need a man of the house. So I have a little boy. His name's Lucky. He has my middle name, but it's spelled like the boy, Lee. So he's Lucky Lee. I'm Leslie Lee, Livy Love, Lizzie Lee. You cannot make this stuff up. I know people think I'm crazy, but guess what? I love it. I love the L's. So Leslie at large. I mean, come on.
All right, folks. So now Leslie has told you how to get yourself there, how to get yourself back and forth across the border, even barefoot in the rain, and even how to get the dogs along with you. Leslie, fantastic.
Bring your
Great.
zoo and come visit us. We love it.
Right. Great and delightful as usual. Thank you very much. I got to stop laughing enough to say goodbye to people here. That's, I'm sorry, folks. It's delightful. I love it. I love it every time we talk, every week. So thank you for joining us for Leslie at Large. As I tell you every week, let's do this thing.